So our first company was a failure. It was a typical example of what happens in that early startup stage. A lot of entrepreneurs, they go about an idea that is just not good enough. But the good thing about it is that had we not tried out this first idea, we would never have gotten to the second one. So sometimes entrepreneurs need to make mistakes. They need to just start on something, and it's not too important if it works out, because now you already had the feeling of what it means to be in touch with clients. We already learned a lot from that first business, only at the expense of the cost of printing letter paper and business cards. So in that sense, this was money well spent. Now, the reason we could afford it to pay for this letter paper was that we had student jobs. So we had some jobs besides studying. We had some jobs beside our studies, and that was training in software, doing software training. So we had jobs for some of the IT companies who had a course program, and they would invite us to teach in Excel. They would hire us to teach in Excel and Microsoft Word and software like that. And at some point, they call us up and they ask us to do some more work. These companies are really busy. They are selling a lot of software. There's required a lot of training, and we were complaining about all this work we had. We were still students. Exams were coming up. We really had no time to do any more teaching. One day, I'm doing the dishes in a summer house with one of my future partners, Per. This was Lange at the business card. And we are washing dishes in a summer house, and we are complaining, you know, who's going to take the jobs for the next month, all these trainings jobs that are coming in. And all of a sudden, we start to get an idea. All of a sudden, we ask ourselves, you know, wait a minute, how many IT companies in Denmark right now are in need of software trainers? We're just working for one company, but you know, how many are there? And we started to count and thought, you know, well, I know 10 at least of these companies. What if all of them have that need, that they need software trainers to actually deliver their product to their clients? So we went back and started to look in the phone book and find out, you know, how many companies are there. And we realized that we were going to start an employment agency, an agency of IT trainers. So we called up our client and said, you know, we can't teach ourselves anymore, but from now on, we would like to invoice you instead. And we'll hire more people that you can have from us. How do you feel about that? Well, are you sure they're good enough? They need to be as good as you are. We'll train them. We'll make sure they're as good as we are. We'll bring them on our own training sessions so that they get the training with us. That's fine, the client said. You can do that as long as you can deliver. That's the most important thing for us. And that's the way this business started, that we actually started to send trainers. We hired students who came out and became a part of this business. We actually found the right time to start this business because there was a market that had the need. This was different from the first business, where we didn't even know if there was a need in the market. We just thought we had a good idea ourselves. But in this case, we had client asking for us for what we did, the training. And the timing was very right. This was at the time where there was a new version of Windows coming out, and all the big corporations in the country were going to train their employees in using this new software. So we're talking about companies with hundreds or thousands of employees who were going through training programs. So there was a lot of work for this little company that we dubbed Edu, as in education. A little more simple and humble logo this time. So we had a business, we had clients who were actually asking for this service. It was what you would call a reasonably good business idea. It seemed that there was something here that would work out. So the question now was, how could we take this idea on? What should we do in this situation where we were just having the first contracts with clients. How could we take this business to the next step? So our situation at this point is that we hired some facilities in a basement. We had a few desks that we had found, old desks that were to be thrown out. We found a few cheap pieces of furniture from IKEA. We had one telephone to share, and we were in the office every afternoon, and in the daytime we were training. We were taking some of these other students that we hired along with us. We would help them get on a suit and a tie to look professional when they were training. Some of them actually didn't have ties, so we had this rack of ties hanging so that before people went to training they could just get a reasonably new tie to take on for these clients. So we were in that very early stage, and it seemed that we had a lot of opportunities to build this business, but we had no experience, we had no resources yet. So what should be our first step to take this business on?